it's Arya. You remember Arya, right? This is her dad, Light Brown. It was expected that when he moved to Sunset Valley, that he would take on one of the normal career paths. But Light had a different idea. Light was always a simple man who lived a simple life. He was single, living in a small corner house, his bookcase, radio, and the main thing he wanted, a nice-sized yard. His biggest enjoyment in his life was working in his garden. There was something so beautiful about feeling connected to the earth, getting his hands rough and dirty, all the time knowing that what he planted in the ground was going to sprout something delicious and nutritious for his body. And Lord, what a body he got. He's very social and has a small number of close friends. Friends that he thinks of as more like family than just friends. Though he was very satisfied with his life, he did wonder if there would ever be a time when love made an appearance. Then there was Love Jones, Arya's mom. Love was a creative, super social, hopeless romantic. She moved to Sunset Valley hoping to find her one true love. It was a whole new atmosphere. She was naturally very open and kind. She just had an amazing energy about her. She was a vibe, you know? So surely love would easily find her and knock her off her feet. Or so she hoped. She spent lots of time at the park just to be around people and show herself as available. But aside from waiting for the love bug, she knew there were other goals that she needed to focus on, such as her career goal of being the leader of the free world. If love and romance were going to take their time finding her, then she had time to put energy into making a name for herself, leaving a legacy, and making Sunset Valley the new great hotspot in Sim's world. But she always knew that deep down, her dream of having love and a family was the biggest thing that called out to her. One day, things changed for the both of them. She saw him the minute that he showed up at the park. She tried not to stare, but she just couldn't take her eyes off of him. He's so handsome, strong, firm chin, beautiful beard. Love wanted to touch it. She just knew it would be soft. His eyes were so dreamy. It looked like if he gazed at you and gave you his attention, that you would be convinced to tell him your entire life story. The man was gorgeous. Is it okay to call a man gorgeous? Well, if it wasn't before, it will be today. He had this amazing manly air about him that just commanded you to give him your attention. But who was he? What was his story? And is he taken? Love tried to focus on her conversation with her friend, but from her peripherals, she was watching that man whose aura was screaming out to her. He's got to be taken. There is no way a man like that is single. He wondered if he was having a heart attack. That had to be what this was. His pulse was racing. He could hear his heart beating in his ears, and his palms were starting to sweat. It was either a heart attack or this angel gliding across the park. To say she took his breath away was the only correct description for how he was feeling right now, because he clearly wasn't breathing right. He watched her make her way around, wondering if she was real or a figment of his imagination. Yeah, he was able to share a few laughs with his friends, but he also kept an eye on her. Something said he could not let her leave without saying hello. So, when he saw her make her way to the hot dog eating contest, he decided that now was his chance. They were standing there waiting to take on the autos one of the richest families in town, and he'd hoped that he could make a good impression on her. Instead, he found out that she was a competitive savage, and his heart beat that much harder. Who is this amazing woman? He knew it. In that instant, he just knew he could not let her go. They did the formal introduction, but from that hello, the conversations kept flowing. He found her to be intelligent, witty, and easy to talk to. She was right about his eyes. The entire time they talked, he gave her his full attention, and she just couldn't stop herself from oversharing. It may seem like it moved a little fast, but when the chemistry is there, it just can't be denied. Day after day, he invited her out and was completely honest with her as to why. He liked her. He appreciated her company. And every time they left each other, he always wanted just a little bit more time. It was one day while working in his garden that he thought, how would life be with them there working together? They made a good pair, so surely their life together would just amplify things. He invited her out to watch the stars together and dive into some deeper questions. How did she envision their future? He knew that she was interested in politics, but would a family fit into that? How would the husband of the president need to represent his very powerful wife? How many kids should they have? She was falling further and further in love and would have loved to stay out there with him the entire night until the hell chased them away. He was watching his garden grow as his relationship grew. Everything was in bloom and ripening well. He thought that it was time to rush things with love, but he realized that like a garden, you can't rush the process. If you want to reap a beautiful harvest, you have to put in the time and effort, and when it was right, you would know. When his first fruits produced, he invited Love to the most intimate part of his life, his garden. She couldn't believe how much joy she was getting out of spending the day in the sun, sweating and getting dirty. Working alongside the man that she loved possibly helped with that enjoyment. Her smile never left her face, and watching him work so diligently just made her heart swell a little more. He took such pride in what he made, and she loved standing beside him. Truly, she didn't know if it was possible to love him any more than she already did. Every moment that they spent together since the hot dog eating contest, her stomach was constantly attacked by butterflies. Her cheeks were always blushed, and her giddiness never left. She felt like it was something that you see in a romantic movie, but it was reality to her, and she was overjoyed by it. But this was nowhere near the end. One night, Light asked Love to get dressed and meet him for dinner. When she showed up, he had to pick his jaw up off the ground. She looked more beautiful than he had ever seen her. His eyes were glued to her, and he had to remind himself to breathe. She had no clue, but tonight was about to be huge. His garden had given a wonderful, profitable harvest, and now it was time to harvest all that his relationship had bloomed into as well. She said yes. They decided that they would have a private wedding. It was a small, intimate wedding in Light's garden. After exchanging their vows, they were ready to begin their life together. There was just one problem. Something had been nagging Love for a while. There was no pregnancy. Not that they hadn't been practicing. All along their relationship, the passion was raging, but there was no music afterwards. As they worked in the garden one night, he noticed how silent she was. When he stared at her, he saw the tears on her face and jumped into action. She told him her fear and sadness in the reality that she probably can't have children. She would never be a mom. He told her how much he loved her and that his greatest joy was keeping her happy. Children would be a part of their future. He placed a phone call, and the next night, Arya was brought to the door.